I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I hear you. This is crazy. It's like looking in a mirror.
It's amazing. God, wow, it's just bizarre, isn't it?
Wow. This is
God, you look good too. You look really good.
Great. God almighty. This is
Crisco Kid.
Ladies and gentlemen, Diamond Phillps. Yes. Talking to a Hollywood icon, I was thinking, how do I prepare for this conversation? There is so much going on with you. Congratulations. 2021, we are here. You got 2 projects out right now that I want to touch on. First of all, the movie Adverse, which I just saw last night. There are so many people in there. What was the budget on this thing? How did y'all all come together for one movie?
Well, we all did a favor, man. I mean, that's basically it. I didn't realize it was gonna, blow up the way it has. I mean, I'm actually very, very happy for Thomas Ian Nichols and for Brian Metcalf, the young Asian American director. And I mean, that's really why I did it. Strangely enough, back before the pandemic, man, I was doing a lot of fan conventions, right? And I was seeing Thomas Ian Nichols around a lot, and we ended up having a table right next to each other at one point. And he says, yo, man, I'm doing this movie, this little movie. It's a really good script. Would you be interested? I said, yeah, let me read the script. Let me, see what's going on. Sean Astin was already involved, and he's a buddy. So read the script, thought it was great, thought it had some good things to say. Really liked the character, kind of a, parole officer trying to get the guy on the straight and narrow.
Right.
Yeah, man. And so it was an easy yes. It was like, come in for a day, shoot all your scenes with Thomas and, in and out. And then Penelope Ann Miller comes on board, and then Mickey Rourke comes on board, and it's a shame because I didn't get to do any scenes with them, which I really would have loved. But yeah, man, it was literally, Thomas out there, man, hitting the bricks and, pulling in favors. But it starts with a good script. It always starts with a good script. I mean, if it's worth doing, then you can get some pretty cool people.
So I'm going to play a little clip right quick so people can, if they haven't seen the trailer yet, you're going to get the visual. And if you're watching online, you'll be able to check this out. But Lou, if you can please, you can choose any clip you like.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I play Thomas's parole officer, and he's an Uber driver, and he's taking care of his little sister, and she gets involved in, some pretty shady, doings, some drug things. And, he's trying to protect her. He's trying to take care of her. And I'm trying to make sure that he doesn't go back to jail. So, and I have to say though, man, you're lucky you got to see this. I haven't seen the film yet.
What?
I haven't seen the film. No, I know this is, I'm always the last to hear anything, but it's made it into so many, different film festivals, a tiny little film that got a theatrical release. So I'm just proud of it all the way around and happy to support it. But yeah, nobody showed me the film yet, man.
Lou, when we're done, I'm going to send you a link that's got a password so you can watch the movie. How about that? I just checked it out last night. Matter of fact, here goes the clip. Diamond Phillps, ladies and gentlemen.
You eating?
Yeah. What do?
I lend people money. There's a lot of foolish people think they can take advantage of you. Soon things get ugly. It's nothing personal. Just strictly business.
May I remind you that these evaluations are part of your parole requirements.
Mia, how's she doing?
Fine, I guess.
What's she up to?
Are you in some kind of trouble?
I owe some money for some big drug lord.
You better hurry up.
You're actual psychopaths who enjoy killing and torturing.
Give me my money.
I cannot pay you.
I said, give me my money!
You want to blame someone? Blame the ones who put the drugs in her hand.
You're all she's got left.
Just get the desk paid.
Come on!
This is your last chance. When your clock's punched. Your clock's punched. You do what you gotta do.
Wow, Lou, you said you read the script and it was just something about it. You were like, hey, I'll come on board as Dr. Cruz. What was it that you were like, hey, there's a message to be told here. What do you think your message in playing Dr. Cruz is for everyone through Adverse?
I mean, I've been fortunate that I've played a lot of what I consider to be aspirational roles, roles that we need to live up to, that I need to live up to as a human being, and here's a guy, who might be, you might consider him a jerk, because he's really kind of holding the hero's feet to the fire. But he's saying, get your life in order, man. And he's doing it with compassion. I mean, he's got the fist in the velvet glove, but he's really trying to, help somebody get back on the straight and narrow, and life, man, people need second chances, they need a kind hand. They need, a guiding word. And I thought this is a cool little role. He's got something to say in this. Whether it's Henry Standing Bear that I played in Longmire, or Detective, Lieutenant Gil Arroyo on Prodigal Son. A lot of roles that I played have that, aspirational quality and can bring some of the things that I have in life, as a father, as somebody who tries to help out different communities and to be an activist and whatnot. So there are times when my art can reflect, a life philosophy as well. And that was one of the reasons why I thought I should do this.
Man, Lou, you said so much right there, and that's exactly where I want to go with our conversation. You put it all in one. Look, Lou Diamond Phillps is hanging out with us.
Good. Thank you for having me, Crisco. This is very cool, man. I appreciate it.
Well, you're a legend. You're a Hollywood icon, and growing up, there was 3 pictures on the wall, and it was Jesus. And then you might have had Cesar Chavez and Lou Diamond Phillps as Richie Valens on the wall, man. We had 3 things.
That's good company, man. That's good company, It's
a great wall, right?
Yeah. It's a good wall.
Man, earlier you said that, it's good that your art can reflect your life and what's going on, and using your platform in that way. I want to talk about Prodigal Son in a minute. I want to talk about Nightstalker in a minute, but something that's happening right now, and I noticed you've been involved with your social media using that platform, is, there's a couple things. First of all, indigenous people and Asian Pacific Islanders being targeted right now, being targeted, and you using your voice to bring awareness to different issues that are affecting those communities. What right now seems to be the most prevalent issue that you see pressing people that everyone should get on board with to be aware of and help?
Man, there's so much, and that's just it. There is so much, got put out there, and there needs to be an opposing force. There are those of us who are called to represent and to, wave the flag. Yes, I've recently tweeted a lot about the violence against the Asian American community, and we're seeing those statistics go up. And the problem is for 4 years, we were, enduring this casual racism where you hear things like Kung flu, or the China flu and all of that. And then ignorant people take that and just automatically lay blame. And they think the way to solve, the problem of the pandemic is to attack the Asian American community. I mean, it's absolutely abhorrent and deplorable and ignorant. And so the only way to fight that is to brand in exactly the opposite direction and ask for anti-racism, ask for representation, point out, in Adverse, Brian Metcalf, young Asian American director, wonderful director. I hope we get to the point in our lives, maybe not our lives, but our children's lives, where we don't have to hyphenate. We don't have to qualify and say, oh, Asian American director, woman director, woman writer, African American star, that these qualifiers don't exist because we can just accept people for their talents and who they are. But until that happens, we have to brand as much as the supremacists and the racists have branded and have tried to introduce this hateful rhetoric, into the national dialogue. We have to fight against that. I mean, it's silly, but I mean, it's one of the reasons why I just did the Wiggles fruit salad music video after 30 years. Why? Because it's about inclusion. It's about diversity and representation. And it's like, sing a song about that a 5-year-old's going to hear, and maybe that will affect how their heart, develops over a generation. So I mean, it's a march. And you had Cesar Chavez on your wall. I marched with Cesar back in the late 80s. I fasted for him. We passed the cross. And it's a lifelong commitment to stand up against these things and to push back when these things happen. And whether that's, violence against the Asian American community, or Black Lives Matter, or inclusion and representation. I mean, literally right now, man, we have to pay attention, because there are appointments being made to our cabinet that will affect the laws going forward. We all have to be aware of these things. I mean, I think, unfortunately, all of this happened because we were complacent and we were blithely happy that, that Obama had his hand on the till. And we're like, hey, we're good, man. The adults are taking care of it. Then all of a sudden, everything went off the rails, Right. So now we got to get back and right some wrongs.
Yeah. One other thing I want to stick within this theme here is, I don't know if you saw the news article, but the chief of the Cherokee Nation has just asked Jeep to stop using Cherokee for the name of their Jeeps. And I guess they've been doing this for maybe 40, 50, 60 years, something like that. And Jeep is like, hey, you know what? We're doing everything we can to honor the name Cherokee and within our company and in the culture. And the chief is saying, I'm just still not sure, no matter what kind of conclusion we're going to come to, but I would appreciate, and if it came down to who's going to have the bigger say here, it's going to be Cherokee Nation. It's actually named after us. Are we going to see more things or more forward movement, or does this kind of take away? Because I've been seeing this, I've been watching this in the fact that I understand what's happening. I understand that there's been stereotypes where people have been taking advantage of other people and exploiting certain people. But at one point, if we remove every name and every face from all of our packaging and everything, it almost kind of backwardsly erases certain names from common, conversation. Yeah. Where's the fine balance, and how do we get to this?
Bro, I wish I could, I bottle the answer and we could just, send it out there and everybody could drink it and it'd be fine. It's a complicated issue. It's a very complicated issue. I think that, bottom line, there are other conversations where people are actually trying to justify, and contextualize using the N-word. It's like, well, it's okay if we use it in this context. It's like, no, bro, it's not okay, And so if you've got the head of the Cherokee Nation saying, we'd rather you didn't use that, you would think that they would be justified in their position. And that other people wouldn't try to rationalize it by saying, well, we're honoring you. It's like, we don't feel honored, So bottom line, I think we are finally hearing more voices, and that conversation has to continue. And we have to look at the situation where it is supposed to be an elevation and a respect. It's about understanding, where people are coming from, and that, if it needs to be explained, then maybe there's a problem, to begin with.
Yeah. Lou Diamond Phillps is on the show. Woo-hoo. Yeah, no, it makes you feel good, right? Yeah.
Oh, are you kidding? This is a great conversation. Great interview, Crisco.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Upcoming in March, the first week, Prodigal Son. I've been watching pretty much off and on, and if I don't catch one, I'll go back and try to see if I can get it again. But I love the story behind there, and serial killers, and now I want to talk about Nightstalker because everyone's talking about that documentary that came out again. You played Richard Ramirez, but now you're directing Prodigal Son. And I want to know, how did you kind of prepare for this? Did any of the Nightstalker mentality and that character kind of come into this when you're writing for Prodigal Son, or what were you kind of thinking here?
No, man, it's, you nailed it on the head. Everything you do, not only as a job, but in life, thank goodness, feeds what you do as an actor. You have information, you have experience, you have baggage that you're bringing with you. Gil Arroyo is such a father figure, and, I'm able to use my dad experience, for that. But when Prodigal Son came to me and it's about a serial killer, I had already done The Nightstalker, where I played Richard Ramirez, and Bellamy Young, is my co-star in that. And then here we are, as on again, off again love interest in this, which is wonderful because we have such natural chemistry. I mean, she's a dear friend. But the fact that I had done so much research on Richard Ramirez, and studied him and read the book The Nightstalker by what's his name, Caruso. He's pretty fantastic. It's a great book. Phil Caputo, I think. But it just illuminates the mind of a serial killer. And I got to hang out with Detective Gil Carrillo. Yeah. Gil Carrillo, not Gil Arroyo. And Gil Carrillo was part of the task force that actually, tracked down Richard Ramirez. So, and then I even go back to when I did The First Power, and I hung out with Detective Bob Grogan, who was one of the guys that took down the Hillside Stranglers, who ended up being 2 people. So all of those experiences, through law enforcement, but also through profiling serial killers, informed me for when I'm doing, Prodigal Son. And then all of that experience too, not only as an actor, but as a screenwriter, as an author. I have a novel out right now that I did with my wife called The Tinderbox Soldier of Indira. And the hero is Brown, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah, and she did 30 illustrations for it. It's wonderful. But all of that goes into directing, which takes all of those disciplines and puts them together and tries to create something up on the screen. So, fortunately, I didn't have to take any crash courses or anything. You just go back and go, okay, here's all the things that I learned, and here's how they apply to this particular job.
Let's go back to Nightstalker right quick, because I think this is still kind of fresh on people's mind, especially with the new documentary. Did you get a chance to see it yet, or?
I haven't seen that just
yet.
You
gotta take a break, Lou. Can you take a break at least this weekend?
I know, right? I wish.
Catch up.
So many things I haven't seen out there.
This might be kind of hard to ask since you haven't seen it, but maybe from the stories that you've heard, other shorts that may have been out there, was there anything that maybe is not being portrayed or told about the story of Richard Ramirez, or anything you learned about him or the case as you went on that's not really being put out in public?
From the book, you sort of realize that he was manufactured, man. He was made. He was put on the path to becoming what he was at an early age. And whether or not that was, the fact that his parents were working in a boot factory, and some really noxious chemicals, his mother was being exposed to while she was pregnant. If that had any effect, on it, he had a head injury early on, which, can cause aberrant behavior, and coupled that with an uncle who had come back from the Vietnam War and had done terrible, terrible things and bragged about it and showed him terrible pictures. And so, I mean, Richard as a child was put on this path to becoming someone who was violent and had these psychoses that led to who he was. But then something else that occurred to me too, in doing this, and also I had done an episode of SVU, Law and Order SVU years ago, and it's the revelation that a lot of bad guys, a lot of evil people, they think that what they're doing is right and good. And in playing those characters, you have to adopt their worldview. You can't judge them. You have to sort of try to think like they think. And understand why they think the way they think, and that was it. That was understanding that Richard saw himself as a rock star, man. He thought he was, he thought he was a badass, and that it was cool, what he was doing. That look at this. Now I'm famous. Now people, fear me and they dig me and they look. I'm in the newspapers. So that's a very bizarre psychopathy, and that's something that we have to understand when it comes to why somebody's brain can just go so dark.
Yeah, you just mentioned the word why and knowing someone's why. Lou Diamond Phillps, I've been asking all my guests for the past couple of weeks here. One thing that's important as we start our careers or start anything, whether it's a new venture or something that we've been doing for forever, and we're successful at, or maybe we're not successful because we haven't identified our why. Mm-hmm. Lou Diamond Phillps, after all these years, successful career, from La Bamba to Young Guns and Stand and Deliver to now Prodigal Son and Adverse. Lou Diamond Phillps, can you share your why and being so successful and great at what you do?
Absolutely, man. And you nailed it, brother. I mean, sometimes you can distill something down to its very simple truth. And I say this to young acting students all the time. It's like, why are you doing this? You got to love it. You know, you've got to love the craft. You've got to love the art of acting. Otherwise, don't do it because it's too difficult. It's too hard, and you will never grow. And the thing about it is, if you were looking at the fame, if you're looking at the money, if you're looking at, all the things that come with it, those are peripheral to your love of the art. And you will not always hit a home run. There are going to be slow periods. There's going to be, times when you're not getting the gigs. There are going to be times that are difficult. And if what you love is all the peripheral stuff, you're going to crash and burn. But if you love the work, you will continue to act. You will continue to pursue the art of acting. And that is a lifetime commitment. It's not, just so I can be famous this month and on the cover of a magazine and invited to a bunch of parties. If you want a career, you have to come at it, with the purity of that initial love.
Oh, man. Some people, when I ask that question, I literally have to stop recording because they don't know.
Yeah.
The Crisco Kid Block Party.
All right, Lou Diamond Phillps is here. Time for Q&A. I love when I do this. Sometimes depending on who I'm talking to, I won't open up Q&A for people, but you're Lou Diamond Phillps, so we got to do it. Now, Mike Mallinger says, hey, Lou is an awesome guy. He used to come into the Starbucks I worked at in Woodland Hills, tell him I said hi, and ask him about his poker game. Do you remember Mike at Starbucks in the wheel?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. Yo, brother, how you doing? It's funny, because of the pandemic, I've been in New York City where we're filming Prodigal Son. I haven't been back, so I would have been in. That's why I haven't shown up lately, man.
He's sitting there with his cup with Lou written on it, and you're never coming. And he's like, "Where's Lou? Where's Lou gonna come?"
Right? Yeah, no, but usually they would misspell it. It'd be lawn or low. I used to have a poker game. They ran for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And had some really cool people. I mean, back in the day, like Brad Pitt used to hang out, and Dave Schwimmer, and Kiefer, and just Brandon Lee was a dear friend. So yeah, it was a very happening poker game back in the day.
Robbie Martinez says, any further news on Young Guns 3?
How about that?
Whoa.
I can keep a secret. I can keep a good secret. But John Fusco, who wrote the Young Guns 1 and 2, kind of let it slip on social media. He and Emilio are actually working on a Young Guns 3. So, yeah, man. Yeah, I saw the first draft, a while back. And I don't know what changes they've gone through, but, they've been in touch with me, and, we'll see if it happens, man. I mean, they gotta get somebody to give them the money. And then we all need to find the time. But for those guys, I love them. They're some of the best memories of my life. And
you'll find the time. You'll find the time for Young Guns 3. You know what I'm saying?
Squeeze it.
Yeah. Okay. Kelly Rowe is saying, what is the future for Native Americans in regards to Hollywood? Also, how can others of all backgrounds recognize those falsehoods that have been told throughout history? And how can we stay away from the cowboys and Indian stereotypes visuals? And so that's kind of interesting. After following up with Young Guns 3, will there be kind of any rewriting with the character, or do you kind of portray Chavez in a different light? How does everything happen?
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting because, the original character, was conceived as somebody of mixed race anyway, which is what I am. I mean, and if I ever played exactly, I've never played, my particular, mix. Although Gil Arroyo is coming close. I think we're going to reveal at some point that Gil is actually, part Filipino. But it would be about representation. And the one thing that I can say that's very, very different from when I started back in the 80s is that there's so many more voices. There is much more of a movement toward authenticity. And, you're seeing so many more native stars. I mean, and for instance, on Longmire, I recommended Graham Greene. I recommended Tantu Cardinal. I recommended Julia Jones. And thank goodness that we have these wonderful Native American actors that through that platform, I was able to go, you should get this person because they're the real deal and they're fantastic. And so I was able to be a conduit and to help in that respect. And now we're seeing not only those people I just mentioned, but, Wes Studi is doing amazing work. Adam Beach is doing fantastic. My dear friend Zon McLaren. So now there are native stars that did not exist before. Michael Gray Eyes is out there doing some great stuff. So I'm aware of all these people, and they are carrying the flag and they are representing the community. But this is true of so many different groups. We have names, who are now from different communities and different backgrounds. And I think that's very important because it's all about representing and it's all about the inclusion.
Yeah. I love how you speak about it, inclusion, diversity, and belonging, just casually, because when it's in your heart and this is what you really believe, you don't have to have a script. You don't got to stay on script to say things. And I love this conversation, Lou Diamond Phillps. Last question comes from Joe Pags. I don't know if you've ever caught his show, talk show host. Joe Pags says, Crisco Kid, is he glad he played such an iconic figure in La Bamba? Did it typecast him because so many actually saw him as Richie Valens?
I am always grateful every single year. And I did it again this last year, February 3rd. It's the day the music died. I would not have the career I have today if not for having played Richie and not for the love and the support that I got from the Valenzuela family. And I'm still in contact, with them. I mean, Connie calls me from time to time. Little baby Mario, who's not a baby anymore, he gives me a ring every once in a while. So, I will always be grateful and happy, for that role. Although, it gets a little old when people are screaming, Reggie, at me from across the street, don't do that. Come up and say hello,
How many would it be, like 30, 40 years of yelling Richie? You're just like,
yeah, dude. Yeah, absolutely. They still do it. Yeah.
Lou, you know what? I didn't even, and I can't be the only one, but growing up, I didn't even know you were Filipino until in my adult life. And I was like, Lou Diamond Phillps, Filipino. Right. And it's crazy that,
I'm ambiguously brown. It's that, it's like the UPS statement, the logo. It's what can brown do for you? I'm all about that.
You're all about it. I like that. Ambiguously brown. Yeah. That needs to be used a little bit more.
It's been fortunate because, but every time, and I've said this many, many times, anytime I'm asked to represent a community, I try to do it with dignity and with respect. And I always ask permission, for Longmire, I flew up to the Labia Reservation, to sit with the tribal chief and to sit with some of the elders and to go through ceremony. And, and they adopted me into the nation and gave me a name as well, much like the Lakota did right after I did Young Guns. And then, that's why I marched with Cesar Chavez, bro. It's, it's like, became involved with the United Farm Workers, and then continue to try to represent for the Latino community,
which is a different combo. But I'm glad you're speaking about that because and I'm going to shout all my farm workers out, all my first responders out, but really with the farm workers, these are the people that haven't stopped working throughout the pandemic. These are the people that, regardless if they can put food on their families' tables, these are the people that are working hard for you, for me, for them, for they, for everyone, and yet still don't get the respect from people. And that needs to change.
The protections that they need, and huge. And Dolores Huerta, who is a friend, and I adore that woman. She's still out there representing, doing what she can to improve conditions, for farm workers. And, not a lot of people know it, but, the second demographic in the UAW, the United Farm Workers Union, are Filipinos, so there's a ton who are farm workers as well, up to, California.
Lou, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. It's not every day. Lou Diamond Phillps comes across your email. So you're like, I got to have this conversation, man. I got to have this conversation. Again, two things to look out for on the small screen and the big screen, or depending if you got a big screen TV in your house, it's almost as big as it anyway. Prodigal Son, that will be happening. I believe it's March 2nd, correct?
March 2nd is the one I directed, and Catherine Zeta-Jones and Alan Cumming are both in my episode. It's huge, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then another all-star cast with the movie Adverse, it's in theaters everywhere right now, but you can also stream that, I believe, coming up in the next week for everyone worldwide. And Lou, again, if you need that link, I'm going to send it to you so you can actually watch it. Take some time this weekend, bro, to relax.
That's it. Cool, man. Great talking to you, Crisco.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor.
What you do.